Welcome to Feminized. It's time for a show that turns the spotlight on the powerful women shaping cannabis culture. The cannabis industry is on fire and women are sparking it up. If you like the show, please subscribe. You can also subscribe to the Feminized podcast with Liz Grow on YouTube and Instagram. The future is feminized.
Hey sis.
You're now listening to the Feminized podcast.
Welcome to Feminized. I'm so excited to welcome Latina entrepreneur, storyteller, and cannabis advocate Susie Plascencia. She's a brand partner for Humo, founder and CEO of NightShift Digital and NightShift Cannabis, and co-founder of MOTA Glass. Welcome to Feminized, Susie.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a huge fan of your show.
Thank you so much. I love just kind of catching up with you before we hit record on all of the points of connectivity that we have kind of through our cannabis journey. And I love that. It makes me feel really good, I think.
Yeah, it's great to see, the podcast grow and excel. And yeah, like you said, there's a lot of paths and touch points from colleagues and people we know in the industry.
Yeah, it's cool to be like, oh, yeah, you are actually really polite via email, or whatever, just to make those connected dots. But, of course, as I was studying up for this interview, I was really focused on the work that you are doing at Humo. So if we could just dive into maybe the story behind the creation of the brand.
Yes, the creation of this brand really happened in such a special way, because I think when things like this happen, you kind of take a step back and think that was supposed to happen, right? That's really much the feeling that happened here. So before I met the team over at POSIBL, I was on my way in terms of charting a path towards Latino representation in the industry. So before Humo was around, MOTA Glass came first. So my business partner, Bobby, and I really, we sought to create a brand that was representative of Latino culture and traditions, but mostly it was about, standing up for Latino artisans, right? So that's what the purpose behind MOTA Glass was. And when that brand grew, so did a community of advocates and a community of supporters. So that is when we saw we entered through something special. So as MOTA Glass grew and we started getting more recognition, more press started pouring in, that's when people were looking for Latinos in cannabis, I was always popping up, or my brands. So that's kind of how it was going. And similarly, at the same time, POSIBL over at in Salinas, they were continuing to kill it in the market. They launched in 2017, providing high quality flower in the market, and they are a supplier of high quality cannabis to many brands. And they had been just rocking in the industry, and they started inevitably thinking, where are the Latinos in this industry? So POSIBL is special in so many different ways, but one of the things that I particularly love is their CEO is Latino, a lot of their leadership is Latino, and a lot of the workers are Latino. Something you don't see in cannabis. So that really stood out to me. And they started asking themselves, where are the Latinos in cannabis? Why aren't there more? We know that they're there, but why aren't there more? And why isn't there more representation on the shelves? So they began to put plans in place to build one of the first large-scale cannabis brands in California, focused on Latino culture and traditions. And they were looking on the internet to find, someone that could help drive the brand a little bit more and connect with the community. And that's when inevitably they were drawn to the communities that I've built, the advocacy that I surround myself with, and the colleagues that I have in this space. I have some amazing connections and colleagues that I've made, throughout the world in cannabis. I think that that's something that POSIBL also loved, that I had a connection to. And I think they were like, I think she's the one. So they had, they connected with me. Initially, I thought it was for a collaboration with MOTA Glass, because MOTA Glass has had some amazing collaborations with cannabis brands, with fashion and lifestyle brands, and celebrities and artists.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, here's another amazing collaboration with, some great partners. But no, I think that Jesus and I gravitated towards each other on the professional level because we both have this level of integrity, but we also have a mission that we're trying to accomplish in this industry. It's providing jobs for those who have been impacted by the war on drugs, our Latino community, right? So we both have that in common as well. So we gravitated towards each other because of these aspects. And, we saw that we were each other's missing link. With MOTA Glass's growth, I had been getting a lot of fans asking me, where is the cannabis brand? Are you guys going to do brand? Is there a MOTA Glass brand? Is there something coming?
What are you going to smoke in the MOTA Glass? Like, come on.
Right? People were like, when's it coming, Suze? And I'm like, guys, it has to be the right time, right? In this industry, it's all about timing and it's all about finding your right people. You can't force that. You can't just go and find someone, at a cannabis event and think you're the one. Let's do it. You have to continuously make sure that those values align with that mission, that you guys are on that same mission, right?
Yeah.
So it's so key for that. So Jesus and I, we really joined in that mission. And so initially I had a couple meetings with some farms and some processors, and it didn't quite fit right. The match wasn't there. And when I met POSIBL, when I met Jesus, when I met the team there, the head grower, I thought, this is the one. And really, that has been the energy from the launch of Humo. It has felt right in the entire way.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. I've seen a few shots, here and there on the internet of the team, and it really does feel like there's just a cohesion. It made me wonder, are they family? How do they know each other? I want to hear the story, but it just sounds like you found each other because of the beautiful work that you were doing and the mission to representing, Latino voices in cannabis in this massive $1 billion cannabis industry. Where are the Latino voices? And, oh my God, I love this. So as a brand partner for Humo, what are your key strategies for developing and promoting the brand while staying true to its focus on Latino culture and representation?
So really it comes down to knowing our community, knowing who we are marketing to, and understanding their needs and understanding the areas in which they haven't been served. So that's really has been my strategy with Humo from the start. And also I happen to be the target audience as well, right? I think that with Humo, a part of the mission there is to reach out to people like me. A lot of Latinos in this industry are dealing with identity issues. We have an identity crisis that we sometimes haven't really talked about enough. We have this one identity that we are to society, who we want to be as Latino individuals. We want to make our parents proud, or make a community proud. We want to be cool with our friends. There's this front-facing society, right? But then you're being a cannabis consumer. I have to hide that from my work. I have to then hide that from my family because of the stigma. Mm-hmm. So now there's another identity that I have to assume. The real me, the one that I have to block. So many Latinos have this identity crisis. And I feel that by providing a brand like Humo, this allows you something to be proud of. You can rep your cannabis consumption. And it's also a brand that we've seen a lot of people gravitate towards supporting, because we are kind of that Latino feel that is familiar, the Latino feel that you don't really get served that much. Usually the Latino feel that you get served is usually cartel related. It's usually the bad boys in cannabis, right? Or some kind of feeling that way. Well, there's also a whole other Latinos that really seek to uphold, Latino traditions, but also seek to dismantle a lot of these beliefs about, Latino culture and what we're about. So I think Latinos, this Latino brand, Humo, is very much, we're destigmatizing that. We are upholding, this new generation of Latinos that is out there achieving and really, showing that there's more to us. So I think that Humo has that ability to cross over in that way. I have seen a new consumer with Humo. I have seen people from the younger generation coming out and supporting Latino owned because it's something they haven't seen. But I've also seen tias and tios that maybe do edibles every once in a while now feel like they want to smoke their first joint because they have a brand that they feel good about smoking because they're like, oh no, I don't want that. It's exciting to see we have new consumers that we're actually bringing into dispensaries because they have a brand that they feel really good about supporting.
My God, that is so cool. Like you're literally making them feel comfortable to just like change their lives.
Yeah.
Because it just changes you when you're able to, I think, connect with a plant like this. Edibles are one thing, and yes, they feel good, but it's like when you're able to smoke it, it's just like it just feels more natural, and I can get that. You want to be able to identify with a brand, if you're going to break the law or do something you've never done before or said was bad all your life, but you know what? It's not bad. I think that's so powerful. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, Humo has been that brand for a lot of people. I've heard I'm a very open brand partner in the sense that a lot of our supporters for Humo and MOTA Glass will just slide in my DMs and give me their stories, their feedback. I have a very open communication in that way. And I can't tell you how many people have shared anecdotes of, my aunt would never smoke. But with this brand, because you guys have strains like horchata, limonada, arroz con leche, she wants to try it. Yes. She wants to see that. And so we've given them just this avenue of exploration that we're seeing a lot of conversions from edibles to let me try a little puff of that as well.
I love that. So as far as products go, how do you facilitate that? I guess completion, right? How do you find that the products are getting into their hands? So will they buy an eighth? Do you sell it pre-rolls? How do you get it to them?
Yeah, Humo has a whole line of products that we have on the shelves all throughout California, and we are continuing to add more. Basically, we love to keep an eye on what people want and make sure that we're coming out with products that it's part of their daily lives, right? So we started with eighth. We started with the classic eighth. And our packaging is very sleek. It's very classic. We want to really evoke that familiarity when you see the brand. So you can see that the little H right here. We were really inspired by Coca-Cola, by Topo Chico, and these brands that are so iconic that you are never going to leave the industry. That's our energy with Humo. So that's our branding. We started out with the eighths first, and then we expanded to joints. We have singles and doubles, little baby doubles. And we also have joint packs, which are awesome because they come in a tin, which is really great for taking on the go. Personally, my dog here, I don't know if you heard him barking earlier. Yes. I have a dog that I take out for my walks, and I will have my Humo tin there with me because I'm able to have joints sorted out. I personally am a nerd, so I have like my indica joints, I have my sativa, I have my mazapan, my limonada, and my La Neta hybrid. And depending on when I'm walking my dog, I know what flavor I want to have for that day. So that's what I love about our tins is that there's a reusable aspect. We're close to Earth Day coming up, and I think that cannabis has a huge opportunity to find reusable opportunities with our packaging, and our tins is how we do that. We really want to, inspire folks to reuse those tins, take them on the go to the park, go to the beach, but also a funny thing about Latino culture, we love to reuse containers of food. We will use a butter container and put salsa in it. We will get an old, that is something we do not throw away Tupperware.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, it is a joke. So it's hilarious. It's a joke because it's rooted in truth. If you go to any Latino grandmother in her pantry, you'll see reused containers over and over again. We're just not wasteful people. Right. And I think our tins really show that about us as well. I've seen people send me photos and videos of people using tins for change with their buttons. So I'm here for that. Buy the Humo tins and reuse them for whatever you see fit. So I love that about our tins. And we also just recently launched our Reserva de la Familia line, which is something that I'm so excited to bring to market because it's small batch, it's limited. With our other strains, Limonada and Mazapan, you can go in there and get your ounces and get your weekly re-up of Humo. But with Reserva de la Familia, that is limited batch. That is small batch. It cannot be grown in large scale because these are really special premium genetics. And these premium genetics come from different sources. And it really speaks to POSIBL's breeder relationships. So all the strains that we get to enjoy today are the result of a breeder out there that decided, let's cross it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and find out.
That is the breeders, their thirst for experimentation, their desire to let's fuck around and see what we get is how we get some of the greatest strains that we get to experience. So over at POSIBL, we don't take that lightly. This line is about putting the breeders and the growers at the forefront and just really highlighting their work. So with these strains, they're, like I mentioned, premium genetics. So with our R&D process at POSIBL, not every strain that we get in can make it to Humo. Why? Because it has to pass taste, smell, experience, look, feel, like all these things. And on top of that, yield. If we can't yield big result, we can't make it to Humo because we serve about 200 dispensaries throughout the state. So when we started seeing some cultivars come through, and they weren't, they had all these amazing other characteristics, but we couldn't make it to scale. We had to snip them. After a while of that, the team were like, we have to find a way because these are premium, and these are just some of the best flower we've seen. So we made a whole line for it. Humo's Reserva de la Familia line. It's our special batch of R&D flower that's just not meant for scale. So we want to make sure that all the Humo fans that are here that love the quality that we bring, this is for you. This is small batch. This is only a few dispensaries are carrying it. So make sure you're following on Humo, get Humo on Instagram to watch out to see which are carrying this. Because once they're gone, it's gone. We have a lot more SKUs coming through. So be sure to keep up on us. We are coming out with a lot.
Oh, God, I'm going to keep up from afar and just be, that kind of jealousy that you just can't get enough of. That's my relationship with cannabis when I look at other cannabis markets, being in Texas. But what are some of the strains that you're really excited about with this reserve line? I just want to hear more about them, and talk slowly, okay? Because it's been a minute. I've had some good bud.
Yes, I'm going to just talk about all the characteristics. The Neverita is one of our strains that is here in this line. This strain, I called it Neverita because of the look, honestly. Neverita means in Spanish, a little ice box, a little refrigerator. So when I first saw the nugs from this cultivar, frost, dripping in frost, the trichomes on this one, the structure is something that really stood out to me. The smell, the taste, the high on 10, it is indica leaning. So for those who love that super chill vibe, Neverita is for you. But I think the look is what got me. It was a little on the darker end with the white frost. So that's why it got that name. It's something that personally I love to, it's an evening smoke for me. I can do indicas during the day, but personally this one right here, I will save to evening walk with my dog thing. That's the Neverita. The next one we have, and then shout out to Conception Nurseries. That is the strain that they helped us provide there. So that is their premium genetics. Next, we have the Crema Naranja. Crema Naranja is a Blue Dream crossed with Tuscan Gelato. So it is so deliciously, it takes me to a beach in the Dominican Republic drinking orange juice. That's what it gives. Yeah. So
I'm there.
Orange.
I'm there, and I'm waiting for you to pass it to me.
This girl, sass. That's
So tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, when I first tried this strain, I got the feeling of that, just creamsicle vibes. Um, in Dominican culture, there is a drink that is often consumed during summertime that does have that creamy and orangeness. So I wanted to kind of give a note to that in this strain. The Blue Dream aspect is where you get a lot of that sativa. I have just a lot of good memories from the strain already. We just dropped it a little while ago, but I have a team member over at Possible. He also had a special moment with this strain. And I think that's the magic with this strain. I think that if you're out on like a Sunday afternoon and you smoke this strain, I have a feeling you're going to remember it. It's like one of those special highs. When you come back to LA, I'm going to have to hook you up with the crema naranja. It's a special one. The memory that I have associated with this strain actually is when we went to Palisades Park here in Santa Monica. It was a Sunday afternoon. We took our little dog Taco out for a walk, and we smoked it with me and my boyfriend, and we just started talking about the industry and the advocacy that could be done. And this walk turned into a strategy session, but it was aspirational, but we were still having a good time. So I think that this particular sativa has that power. It's going to wake up your mind depending on what you're doing. And I have a feeling that's why it was special for both my team member over at Possible and I. I think it's what we were doing was like activated with the strain. Yeah. So it's really just the power of cannabis, the power of genetics, because I know what Blue Dream can do. But then when it's mixed in with that gelato, I think that's where it gave you that cakey high. Yeah. And so, yeah, these genetics, it's where it's at. I love cannabis now, and I think that I work with a lot of amazing people. But when the people smoke cannabis, it's just an extra, just special sauce on it because they can geek out with this.
Yeah, right. You talk about the feeling. You talk about how it made you feel versus here's what I think about the spreadsheet, guys. And of course, we love that. We have to do that. But that is the beautiful thing about cannabis. And if you are really in it for life, and trying to influence the game and do big things, and serve so many patients, you're smoking it and you're loving it and you're talking about it and you are the consumer. So in that respect, I feel like, it's like, so it's just the most fun to work in this industry because of that, So I would love to hear from you, Susie, as a Latina powerhouse in this industry, what are some of the challenges, that you've faced as a Latina entrepreneur and in the cannabis space specifically, and how have you overcome them? Because I know you have.
Oof. I mean, I could do a whole TED talk on that one. I think that Latinas, I think women as a whole deal with this, but I think that it can be hyper, focused on Latinas sometimes, but getting taken seriously is something that is difficult for a lot of women. I think especially Latinas, there's a notion that, maybe Latinas aren't as educated, or maybe we, don't have the ability to be able to withstand, in the boardroom, So I think that there are these preconceived notions that are on Latinas because of stereotypes that unfortunately get carried, in the workplace and when it comes to, finding careers that we can excel in. And then there's an added layer of that. A lot of Latinas deal with roadblocks that are not visible. So there are some roadblocks that are clearly visible, right? Access to funding, right? Latinas are oftentimes not given the opportunity to seek funding. Also, the Latina wage gap is real. There is a women wage gap that exists. However, there is a larger one for Latinas. We're actually the one at the very bottom. We're the ones that earn the least per dollar compared to a white man. So that is very real as well. So when we put it under the context of cannabis, there are roadblocks that aren't visible. And some of those roadblocks come back to our upbringing. many Latinas don't have, role models to look up to. Many of us didn't grow up with powerful women at the helm. So when it comes to us joining an industry where we're already outnumbered, we're already not empowered to grow, but on top of that, we have these internalized, barriers of feeling we don't have that example. We don't have that self-confidence to then seek for more when we are given those opportunities. So that's why you see a lot of Latinas as bud tenders, but maybe you don't see them as executives. Personally, I have a personal experience with that because I was a bud tender. I was a bud tender over 12 years ago, and when in the burgeoning cannabis industry. And I can tell you that I wasn't bored. I love that too because I'm at the
Berner was a bud tender.
Right.
How do you know? I just keep going, please.
And so I wasn't mentored. I wasn't given resources for this to be, for me to see that this is a career for me. So then I in turn, saw it as a short-term thing as well, and I ended up moving on with my career, and I became, marketing professional, PR professional, and made my way back to cannabis. But I look at that time there and I think, I hope that these other Latinas in this industry are given that mentorship, because it is possible to go from bud tender to brand owner and co-founder. But what is that path? So I think that part of my mission in cannabis has been to give proper resources to help those Latinas make it in this industry. So I founded an organization called Latinas in Cannabis. This is an organization that I founded a couple years ago now. It came out of need. And when I look back at my career journey and the brands that I've built, all of my brands have been because of need. All of it has been a response to a lack of something. So with Latinas in Cannabis, I saw the disconnect in the industry because so many Latinas are bud tenders. When you walk into any dispensary throughout California, you will see at least one or a few Latinas in there. And I started seeing that and thinking, what is the gap and why aren't they represented, right? So I started this Instagram channel, just reposting Latinas in the industry, whether they are executives, whether they're bud tenders, content creators, artists. I was just reposting content and just let me start with that and see what happens, right?
Yes. Wait, Instagram channel, give it a shout out, please.
Latinas in Cannabis. So that's Latinas_cannabis. We've gotten it taken down a few times, but I did my thing and we've gotten it back every time because I told Instagram, do not mess with this channel. And they actually listen to me. I guess they're afraid of Latinas too, which is great. So
they should be.
So that channel is safe. I'm going to make sure to continue to protect it for us. But it started with the intention of just, let's see what happens when we connect and represent, right?
Yeah.
It turned into a monster. It turned into another monster, just like MOTA Glass, just like Humo. It took on a life of its own because so many Latinas were feeling connected with each other. I have seen magic happen in the comments. I have seen businesses be created because Latinas find each other.
Yeah.
I've seen people get jobs and careers because, oh, I found this person from your page. We are creating a community where we are finding each other, and it's become a massive channel to where I vowed to do free marketing, free for anybody. Just tag Latinas in Cannabis if you're a Latina owned person and want a boost for your channel. We give reposts all day for Latina owned channels.
Oh,
started doing partnerships with brands who want to tap in with our community. And as of 2 years ago, I founded a holiday for us. National Latinas in Cannabis Day is September 30th. We celebrated first on 2021. And so 2022 was our second year. And this year is about to be our third one, our biggest yet. So that is, no one can ever question my commitment to Latinas. I made a holiday for you guys. And I continue to open doors for so many Latinas because it's a responsibility that I feel. It truly is.
That's incredible. That's so incredible and truly uplifting, actually putting the action in place. Like because we all want to be more connected, but there's just so many reasons not to be. And there's so much fear, I think, around connection because we're working so hard on our own thing. And what if people don't like it, or what if we're rejected, or what if they try to steal our idea, or, but you're just breaking down those, barriers for Latinas who are at the very bottom of the pay scale when it comes to the wage gap. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. To think about, I live in Texas, and we are, I think we're 50% at least right now. I don't know. That's kind of what I feel, and I've always felt. There's been a very high representation of, Latinas in business all around me, but I know that's not the case in the rest of the U.S., and especially not in cannabis. So I think it's just amazing that you're giving that platform. What are some... There's some questions that I want to ask you when we're done. I'll let you go in a minute. I know you're busy, Susie. But I'm really curious to know, what are some other Latina-owned brands that you think are just like killing it right now?
Oh my gosh, there are so many people that are killing it. It's hard to just even focus on one, but I'm definitely gonna shout out my girl Ranchera Mami, Ranchera Familia. She is a third generation Latina farmer from Fresno, California. She's someone that I've known going on a couple years now. I always say that we're all this team of Latinas in cannabis that are out here like joining in arms, and she's definitely one of the white girls in that community. So shout out to her. Another amazing person I love to support is a good friend of mine, Sabina Monet. She's an amazing Chicana artist and creator. You've seen her artwork all over the internet, I'm sure, because she's worked with some of the biggest cannabis brands. So she's someone that I love to support as well. There are so many Latina-owned brands that really need to be supported. I mean, Blunt Babe, she has an amazing CBD, brand. So, yeah, oh man, I'm like, there's so many, it's hard,
Right.
Is to go, if you go to Latinas and Cannabis, I started a highlight tab for it's a Latina-owned highlight tab. And basically you can go there and then just see all these Latina-owned brands. And I think that a big reason why I started that channel as well is because I wanted to constantly support Latinas in cannabis. And I'm like, I could do it with my channel, or I can create an entire channel for it. So it's a really an amazing way to continue to shout out my girls, the people I support. There's so many Latinas in this industry.
Oh, that's incredible. Incredible. I love that. I love that. So yeah, I definitely want more people, anybody listening right now, follow Latinas in Cannabis. Not only to find great resources, but again, it's about like putting what's in your heart into action, and I find that this podcast, especially, it's connecting women in cannabis and giving them a way to step up, for their sisters. Cause we all kind of want to, we all definitely want to. I want my sisters to step up for me and vice versa, but how can we do it? And it just can seem like such a massive sea of brands, and vetted brands too. There's a lot of brands out there, and I think some brands who are maybe, if you're not the best, you're not gonna last. So I guess it doesn't matter. But some folks get in with intentions that are, other than serving a community, right? But I just think that
people always end up getting shaken out, though. I feel like that's amazing about our cannabis community, is that we have this ability to shake out the people eventually. Eventually, may not take a minute, but I think that I just love our cannabis community in that way, and I think that over the years I've seen the growth of the conscious cannabis consumer. Yes. That person didn't exist a few years ago. Now people are asking, where do you source? Can you tell me, who the founders are? Where do you test? These are questions we were not getting in the trap days. They're not getting when I was a bartender. Nobody was asking that, So it's refreshing to see that, and it's also telling of what's coming. Marketers out there, brand owners know that transparency is the way. I think it's still, I find it surprising when you can go to a brand page and nobody has an about me. It's just a shell. You've no idea who owns the brand.
Right.
Or I feel like people are starting to realize that people care. People want to know that. So I'm excited to see more conscious consumerism. That is definitely the community that I serve with all my brands. With MOTA Glass, you're a conscious consumer, consciously wanting to support local and over import. And with Humo, you're being conscious about supporting, people of color in the industry, women in the industry. It's wake up, right? You have to vote. Every day you go into the dispensary and purchase something, that is a vote that you are casting, and a message that you're telling the industry. You're saying, I want more of this. So think about that next time you purchase, glass or flower. You're voting for those people to get more space.
I love that. I love that perception shift, because we want to see, more products like that in power. We want to have more and more access, and with that comes access to capital on the other end, from the product perspective and from the brand perspective. At the end of the day, we can talk all day long about the numbers, and the numbers do show that when you invest $1 with a women-owned company, or at least a company with a woman on the leadership board, leadership level, you get more out of your dollar. We know those.
That's true.
We know that's true. However, we have to continue to beat it over the heads of those who are kind of holding on to capital and only parsing it out with those, quote unquote, safe bets who look like them. Right? We've got to put more money, invest more money in women-owned businesses, specifically women from underrepresented communities. And it'll be, I think, a much stronger industry.
Oh, yeah. Especially because we're keeping the door. It's important to keep the door open, is something I like to say, because I think that's where that pressure comes from. When you make it to that level, you have to the door open. There are areas that I have reached, with MOTA Glass, with Humo, that I know I'm the first. I'm the first Latina to XXX. And it's important to me to leave that door open. And when you ask me, like, other Latino brands, like, bam, 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 because it's not all about me. It's about Latinas, and it's about women. And I know that every area that I'm able to reach because of the Humo and MOTA Glass's success, it opens the door to the success of other Latina-owned brands.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that. It's such a beautiful, genteel way of putting it too. You're opening the door. You are literally opening the door, and you're holding it open. You really are, for your sisters. And I think that is incredible. And so I think it's no surprise that you were included in Marijuana Ventures 40 Under 40. Congratulations on that, Susie.
Right.
Well deserved, of course. But what does it recognition mean for you, and how has it impacted your journey?
I think that this recognition means a lot. Because I think if I were to be able to tell my 21-year-old self, right, in college, I would always see the Forbes 30 under 30 and stuff like that, the Forbes under 40, all that kind of stuff, and I would always be like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing to be on those lists, and I started my career, and I didn't really feel like, how do you make it on that list? How do you get to a place where you make it on a list?
Yeah.
And it took me not caring. It took me focusing on the work. I think that's how you make it on a list, right? Not wanting to be on a list, and instead focusing on the impact you're making and, that sort of thing. I think getting that recognition means that I can represent more in a different level, and I think that ultimately being able to post that on Instagram, I know that all the supporters out there are seeing that and know it's possible for me now. I can do it. The editors are looking for faces like me now, and as a former journalist, I know the game a little bit more in terms of that aspect. And I know that once you make it there, the editors and the journalists absolutely take note of that and then put you in the running. And then we're like, okay, we need to include that more. So I know that makes an impact. So seeing that, I know it's a win for all of us.
Yes. Wow. And that's awesome advice. I mean, such a mysterious topic, those lists, and we all think about them if you're an entrepreneur. But thank you for just kind of breaking it down and opening up the curtain a little bit, right? You know, you work hard and you get on the list, but then, hey, you're on the radar and you can really, that's when you can really, make an impact, I think,
Yeah.
from a
But also
perspective.
at the same time, I do want to shout out all of the amazing cannabis professionals out there who have never made it on a list.
Yeah.
That
Amen.
doesn't mean that they're not making an impact. It doesn't mean that they're not talented. It doesn't mean that they're not making waves. It really just means that that person writing that thing at that time just really didn't know.
Right.
And so don't take it hard, because I think that there are a lot of professionals out there that see these lists and feel like I'm never, like I don't matter, or I don't make an impact. Don't think that. Like, you are doing your thing and those lists are gonna come when they come.
That's right. That's right. You don't need a list. God, I love that. And on that note, so do you have any other advice that you might give aspiring entrepreneurs, and particularly women in underrepresented communities who are looking to enter the cannabis space?
I think my biggest point of advice is, we're always told that we want to seek a seat at the table. We're always looking for a seat at the table. Are they going to give it to us? How do we ask for a seat at the table? I think if you're a woman in cannabis, if you're Latina in cannabis, stop asking for a seat at the table, and it's time that you build your own table. It's time that you build your own. And your own table, and it can be any shape, any material you want. People will come to it, but it has to be yours. I think this opportunity with Humo, I made my table. My table has been Latino advocacy, Latina advocacy. My table has always been mission-oriented, creating jobs for the people impacted by the war on drugs. That's my table I built. Possible came to my table and said, hey, let's do something together. I didn't go asking them. They came to me. They came to my table. So instead of figuring out, asking, how am I going to get the seat at the table, start focusing on building your own table and how to attract people to that. And the best way you can do it is through authenticity and through having a mission. What are you doing? What's the point? If you're working in cannabis, I feel that because there are still people in prison for cannabis, because people are still being impacted by the war on drugs today, you better have a mission.
Yeah.
That have some mission. Something. And if you do not, I think it's time that you consider one, because this is the year of those shakeouts that we were talking about. Cannabis is at the hardest point in California right now. Competition is cutthroat right now. That is a big reason why Humo's success is special on a different level, because so many brands are not making it right now. Pour a little out for those brands, because it's sad to see. And people see Humo's success and they're like, literally how? Like, yeah, it's great to see, like, oh, how did you guys do it? But no, people are being like, literally how? Like, it does not make sense in this market. The reason, the how, is because Humo is not just flower. It's a mission, it's representation, and we are supported by the people. People go in there and they ask for Humo, and when it's not in, they're like, well, let me know when it is. And then we get calls. That you don't see that with cannabis brands that much. So I think that it took a different approach. It's time that brands dig deeper and look beyond the flower, because cannabis has always been beyond the flower. This industry has always been beyond the flower. So if you're a brand out here and you're looking to survive, dig deeper, think about the people and your mission to serve them. It's the only way.
Oh my God, facts. That's great. Susie, that is I'm gonna take that little clip and do something with it, because it was a very, very, very powerful message. I think that every entrepreneur needs to know, needs to hear in cannabis, and even not in cannabis. What are you doing with your life if you're not going to live for something and then create for that, right? Like, I'm just so inspired, and I know that so many other people, so many other listeners will be too. So before I let you go today to get back to your busy, wonderful life, serving your community and putting out a beautiful product, I have a couple questions that I'm dying to know the answers to. You already answered one of them when you talked about these amazing female Latina-owned brands in like Ranchero Mami and Blood Babe, about, the women who are inspiring you in cannabis. I always like to ask that one. So that's one, check. The second one, and a very, very important one, just so I can set the scene in my head, is tell me who is in your dream smoke circle. 3 people, they can be dead or alive, and they can be also fictitious characters.
Awesome. Oh gosh, the fictitious characters crack me up. I think that, we just finished celebrating Cesar Chavez Day, and I got a chance to attend an annual memorial dinner or breakfast, actually. It was just a long one. It felt like it bled into dinner, but it was breakfast. And it was wonderful to see the great impact that Cesar Chavez did during his lifetime, but it also shows the legacy that he left. And really, times like that remind us that we have still so much work left to do to serve the Latino community, especially the farm worker community. And so I would love to sesh with him to be like, hey, what's up, Cesar Chavez? Are we doing what we need to? And I think that maybe smoking some of that crema naranja with him would help us strategize into how we can unlock cannabis opportunities for our people. So he needs to be included all the way. Like,
Yes.
let's do it. I would also love to have a Selena in there, because a Selena can be a floor. Yes, let's talk about the floor a little more deeply while we smoke this Neverita strain as well. She strikes me as an indica girl. I feel like she would smoke the Neverita with me, like after her concert or something. I think we would blaze it up. So I would love Selena there. I think the last person I would want is Kobe. Yeah, I think as a LA born Latina, Kobe is someone that is very deeply ingrained in Latino culture. Well, like you would think that, okay, he's not Latino, but if you knew the impact that Kobe had on the Latino community and the LA community, you would know that he means a lot to Latinos. So I think I look up to his tenacity. I look up to his motivation. I look up to, the mama mentality, as of course, I think that's something that as a professional, I look towards in terms of, what I want to give and, into the industry every day. As a professional right now during 420, I am reaching into the depths of my Mamba mentality just to keep up with all this planning and workload for leading up to the holiday. So I think that the Mamba mentality is something that I would love to get to know and talk about. He was a family man, definitely mission oriented. So I think those 3 people would be the hell of a sesh.
God, great sesh. Great, inspiring sesh. Wow, okay. And all right, so my last question is, what advice do you have for 13-year-old Susie?
Oh man, you get me emotional on that one. I think for 13-year-old Susie, you're beautiful. I think that 13 is a really tough age. Sorry. I think we might have to cut that one. The tough one.
I'm with you, sister. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Good with that one. Yeah. It's a tough one because, 13 is a tough age.
Yep. And women that strong women that I meet in this game, they always have they always have a story. And 13 is a tough age anyway.
Yeah. 13 is a tough age. It's a transitional age. I think it's also a time where, you know, your relationships with your parents become very apparent, right? Because you are transitioning into adulthood. So I think the advice that I would give my 13-year-old self is you are beautiful. What you see on television is going to change. These beauty standards do not represent, you know, what you should feel like. Know that representation is coming for you in every way, and just hold on, because you're probably going to be at the forefront of leading that.
Wow. What do you think 13-year-old Susie would say to that?
I don't know. I was very, you know, it's funny because people see me now and they're like, "Oh, Susie, you're so outspoken," you know, this and that. I was really shy for a very long time, and that came from a lack of confidence. I didn't have a strong female figure in my life, a strong mother figure, and that really trickled down to a lot of self-confidence issues. It's a big reason why my entrepreneurial journey took a little longer than I would have wanted, and I didn't realize that invisible roadblock or entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It was self-confidence. It was that, and so a lot of Latinas deal with that. But I think telling my 13-year-old self, like that confidence that you don't have right now, you know, it's gonna come. It's gonna come in a different interesting way. Because for me, cannabis brought that to me in a lot of ways. Because when I started being authentic with my true self and not having those identity issues that I was talking about, is when I started being more confident in myself. And so, yeah, self-confidence is a huge, huge aspect of that. And 13 is one of those, yeah, that age.
Yes. Oh, well, here you are, you know, grown into this amazing, powerful, powerful woman. And just you really blessing us and inspiring us with your story, Susie, and your hard work. I see you, and I hope everyone who has listened to this episode or has seen this episode sees you as well. So how can people find you?
So you can find me all over the internet. Feel free to follow me on my main Instagram is Susie Plascencia. You could check out the spelling there. It's a long one. But I also have another Instagram that's like my weed self. My just all weed all day. If people want to see the behind the scenes of Humo and its creation, that's Susie Greens. Susie Greens, like the color with an S at the end. That is really me smoking and me doing all of the behind the scenes cannabis stuff. So follow me on there for those two channels. I also have obviously MOTA Glass, MOTA_glass for the glass brand. And be sure to use code MOTAFAM to get yourself a brand new locally blown, all blown in LA glass to support those local glass blowers. And also Humo at gethumo.humo. We do have a dot there, so be sure to follow our main channel. We also have an events channel, Humo Familia. If you're in the California area and you want to try our strains, we do events sometimes like every week. We have bong bars where people can come taste a sample and then you can go and buy it. So check up on our Humo Familia for all our events throughout the state. All over the state. Humo, from San Diego to NorCal, you can get your Humo.
Incredible, incredible. I can't wait. I might have to just align my next trip to LA with something happening with the Humo Familia program events, because
I have to go to the farm. You know, I'll have you over at POSIBL.
I would have thought that. And Salinas, I love Salinas. I've kind of got roots in that area. I'm not unfamiliar with that area. Yeah. And so I would love that. Cool. Let's do it.
You're going to love the car. It's an experience.
Oh, God. I can't wait. I mean, any farm really is just the happiest place. But I have a feeling that your farm and the farm that you work with, the farm that you partner with, that you've become family with, is something special. So I cannot wait. And I'm grateful for your time. Please come back and give us updates on all the good stuff. Know that this is your platform as well. And I'm grateful, Susie. Thank you. And I'm grateful to you for listening and watching. Please, if you have comments, please leave a comment or DM me. I'd love feedback about the show. And if you have anybody that you want to see on the show, let me know. Make a connection. If she's doing amazing things in cannabis, then she has a place here in Feminized. I can't wait to introduce to you guys my next guests, and all in the future. My guests now are so incredible that they inspire even more conversations, just as you have, Susie, today. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
If you'd like more, subscribe to the Feminized podcast on YouTube. Follow at Feminized with Liz Grow on Instagram. Special thanks to our sponsors Moose Labs and Richard's Rainwater. The Feminized podcast is a Grow House Media production, created by Liz Grow, produced by Patrick Pope and Dennis Ray, with original theme music and audio mixing by Q at Q to King Productions in New Braunfels, Texas.